earned the support of enough delegates to secure the Democratic nomination.
I know I can't be the only one that's felt like I've lived a month and a week with this news cycle. The Democrats have a new presidential nominee.
We have 105 days until Election Day, and in that time, we've got some work to do. But we're not afraid of hard work. We like hard work, don't we? And we will win this election.
On Sunday, President Biden announced he will not seek re-election. In a letter, he wrote, quote, "I believe it is in the best interest of my party and the country for me to stand down and to focus solely on fulfilling my duties as president for the remainder of my term." He also fully endorsed Kamala Harris, his VP, for the job. And within 48 hours, she did it.
I will spend the coming weeks continuing to unite our party so that we are ready to win in November.
Kamala Harris secured enough support from Democratic delegates to make the nomination a reality. Now, it's expected to all become official at the Democratic National Convention on August 19th. We're gonna get into all of this, but first, our question of the day. Has a president ever decided not to run for a second term? We're not gonna keep you waiting like usual. We're gonna give you the answer right now. Well, actually, Mosheh Oinounou, editor-in-chief of Mo News, is gonna give us the answer.
So this is the first time we've seen something like this happen in American history. There have been examples where a president has decided not to run for a second term. Most recently in the 1960s, there was a president named Lyndon Johnson, and he decided in spring of the election year not to run for re-election. But what we saw happen with Joe Biden, this is the latest we've ever seen it happen, just weeks before the convention and after Democratic voters across the country had already voted for him. And that's what really makes what happened last weekend pretty remarkable.
My fellow Americans, it's been the privilege of my life to serve this nation for over 50 years. Nowhere else on earth could a kid with a stutter from modest beginnings in Scranton, Pennsylvania, and Claremont, Delaware, one day sit behind the resolute desk in the Oval Office as President of the United States.
Biden spoke for the first time since his announcement.
I believe my record as president, my leadership in the world, my vision for America's future, all merited a second term. But nothing can come in the way of saving our democracy. That includes personal ambition.
He emphasized his support for Harris.
So I've decided the best way forward is to pass the torch to a new generation. I would like to thank our great Vice President Kamala Harris. She's experienced, she's tough, she's capable. She's been an incredible partner to me and a leader for our country.
He promised to finish out his time in office, and now it's back to business as usual.
I've been blessed a million times in return with the love and support of the American people. I hope you have some idea how grateful I am to all of you.
Quick recap on how we got here. Pressure for Biden to drop out of the presidential race increased after he debated Trump on June 27th. And during the night, Biden performed poorly, and many worried he was too old to continue in the race. But up until last week, Biden was insisting he wasn't going anywhere.
I know how to do this job. And I know the good Lord hasn't brought us this far to leave us now.
The White House announced he tested positive for COVID, and 4 days later, Biden released his statement. Let's go back to Mosh, who broke down how this historic decision came to be.
Joe Biden's 81 years old. He spent his entire life wanting to be president. Once he was elected once, he very much wanted to stay in the job. So what happened over the last few weeks was a fight between the president and people around him. Him saying, I think I can do this for 4 more years. And people around him saying, no, we don't think you can. Now, what ultimately led to his decision was they came back with what's called polls. And they asked voters, who do you want to be president? Do you have confidence in these people? And what they found from these polls was increasingly voters across the country were saying, actually, we think that Joe Biden is not able to serve 4 more years in office. So they came back to him with the research showing that it was virtually impossible for him to win in November against Donald Trump. And that's what led to his decision to drop out.
Jumping in real quick. Biden's political career has spanned over 50 years. He was only 29 when he was elected into the Senate in 1972. He was then re-elected 6 times. He ran for president and lost the Democratic nomination in 1988 and 2008. But Barack Obama, who won the nomination in 2008, picked Biden to be his VP, and the two spent 8 years in the White House. In 2020, Biden beat Trump to become president, and now he's ready to campaign for Harris. Want to know more? Go check out our Who is Joe Biden video, and don't forget to like and subscribe for all of our new videos or else. All right, back to me and Mosh. How important is it that President Biden has endorsed Kamala Harris?
It's a big deal because he is the leader of the Democratic Party. He's the sitting president of the United States. So the fact that he went forward and said, hey, all you delegates who are set to vote for me, vote for her, now that I'm not running again.
Moving on to vice presidents, is there any idea who Harris's VP will be?
A number of names are being circulated. They include U.S. senators, members of Congress, governors, people who run their states. When you think about a vice president, oftentimes you're trying to think about somebody who can help you win in November. She'll be looking to someone that maybe has a strength she doesn't have. So she worked as an attorney general at the state level. She's been vice president, but she's never run a state. So maybe having someone in that leadership position will be helpful to her. This is a team, the president and the vice president. So she's going to want someone she has chemistry with.
And will that person be announced at the DNC?
It's up to her to decide when and how to announce the vice president. Typically, it happens right around the convention, but certainly this year has shown us that there are going to be a lot of surprises and a lot of unexpected events. It will happen anytime between now and the convention on August 19th.
4 years ago, Kamala Harris made history as the first female, first Black American, and first South Asian American to ever be elected as vice president. But before she got all those titles, she was a lawyer, a senator, and a presidential candidate. Harris was born in the 1960s in Oakland, California, to a dad from Jamaica and a mom from India. After high school, she went to Howard University in Washington, D.C., law school in San Francisco, and then was elected district attorney of San Francisco in 2003. 7 years later, she was elected as the first Black American and first woman to serve as California's Attorney General, which is the top lawyer and law enforcement official for a specific state. A few years later, she became a senator for California. She focused her work on healthcare, immigration, and gun reform. Harris is married to Doug Emhoff and is a stepmom to his 2 children, who call her Mamala. Harris ran for president as a Democrat in the 2020 election. She didn't win the primary race, but Joe Biden did, and he chose her as his vice presidential running mate. In 2020, Biden and Harris beat Donald Trump and his running mate Mike Pence to win the election. She served 4 years as vice president, where she supported President Biden and traveled to more than 20 countries and met with more than 150 world leaders. If she wins the 2024 election, she will be the first female president in the history of the United States. If that wasn't enough news, we've got more. On Tuesday, the head of the Secret Service resigned from her position after testifying in front of a House Oversight Committee about the assassination attempt on former President Donald Trump.
The Secret Service's solemn mission is to protect our nation's leaders. On July 13th, we failed. As a director of the United States Secret Service, I take full responsibility for any security lapse of our agency.
Cheadle said the Secret Service knew that the roof was a problem before the rally and were made aware of a suspicious person at the event. Both Republicans and Democrats demanded Cheadle resign from her position. The investigation into what happened is still going on. And to close it all out, the Paris Olympics, which I will be watching, begins with the opening ceremony on Friday, July 26th. I am most excited to watch LeBron James and Coco Gauff carry the flag for the USA. Will you be watching? Send us a pic or a video of your favorite part to hi@firststopnews.com. See you next week.